But first of all, let's begin with the coronavirus tracking app. Is it a good idea? Is it a bad idea? Should you install it? I figured actually the best way to get an answer on that is to simply explain how it works. And not many people are doing this, but I'm going to do it. It works as follows. You download the app. Once you've downloaded it, you enter some information. Your phone number, your postcode, your approximate age, so a range, and you don't have to enter your name. You can put a pseudonym in, but an identifier of some kind, a pseudonym or your name, whichever you like. Then that information is sent to the central server, which is in Australia. It's an Amazon server, I believe, but it's sent to the central server. That server then takes that little piece of record of information, which is not particularly invasive data, but it takes it and it applies a unique code to it, and then it sends that code back to your phone. Everything that happens from this point happens on your phone and on your phone only. That code that your phone has received is broadcast via your phone's Bluetooth to about a 10-meter radius around your person at all times. At the same time, it scans for the presence of other unique codes from other people who have phones who have the COVID-safe app on them. And if one of those people comes within about a 10-meter radius, the range of Bluetooth of your person, your phone will scan and pick up their code. And it'll grab their code, it'll grab the make and model of the phone that it's come from, so it could be, say, a Samsung Galaxy S9. It'll grab the signal strength that it detected, weak or strong or whatever, and it'll grab the time for which that code was within the scanning radius of your phone. And it will take that little piece of data, which, mind you, is completely useless by itself. It doesn't identify anybody, it doesn't tell you where you were, nothing like that. It just takes those bits of data and stores them on your phone in a place where other apps cannot access it, in a place that just sits there, but it sits there for 21 days and then it deletes itself. And so basically what happens is that you go around and you have 21 days worth of these little packets of data, these codes of other people who you've been near, how long it was, how strong the signal was, and what model of phone it was, and it gets stored there, constantly deleting after 21, each of those has been there for 21 days. Now, there's no identifying information in that, no location data, nothing particularly, well, nothing invasive. But if you are unfortunately diagnosed with coronavirus, you have the option to upload that last 21 days worth of data to the central server. So the health professional will say to you, do you want to share that data from the last 21 days? You say, yes, I do. I want the people who I was in touch with and was near to be notified. And so they say, great, press the button on your phone. You do it, you press the button in the app, it uploads that data. The central server is able to do a few things. The central server is able to match the codes that you've just sent it from your phone, which are represent people that you were near, and find the phone numbers. But it only does that for the ones which it figures out were within 1.5 meters of your person for 15 minutes or more. And that's why it picks up the signal strength and the phone make and model, because it can calculate the approximate distance away. And if it's within 1.5 meters for 15 minutes or more, and there might be, say, 6 people in the last 21 days who that was true of, and the health workers will get the phone numbers of those people. And they'll get presumably the other data as well, their postcode, so they know approximately where they are, and their age range, so there's a sense there of how vulnerable they are. And they'll just ring those numbers and they'll inform those people that they should go and get tested. That's basically it in a nutshell. That is how the app works. And here's the thing, at the end of the pandemic, the data on that central server will be deleted. In fact, the legislation requires it. Note this, the app does not track your location. It does not have any GPS function. It doesn't actually communicate any of the data on it to the central server unless and until you tell it to, which is in the unlikely event of being diagnosed. Neither does it tell anyone who you are or identify you in any meaningful way through that operation of scanning and sending the code out. It's anonymous. Now, in addition to that, the following are criminal offences, and these are criminal offences punishable in some cases by up to 5 years in prison. Firstly, if you access the data unless you are employed by a state health authority and you are conducting contact tracing, which is the process of identifying people who have been in contact with a person who's tested positive for coronavirus. So unless you're that person, you're not allowed to access the data. It's a criminal offence. And if you are that person, you're only allowed to access the data supplied to the extent necessary to do that job. Secondly, it's a criminal offence to upload the app data from someone's phone without their permission. It's a criminal offence to keep the app data on a phone for more than 21 days, as it automatically deletes itself after 21 days. It's a criminal offence to upload any app or central server data to a server outside Australia. And it's a criminal offence to require somebody to use the app for any reason, amongst other things. Those are just the highlights from the prohibitions that are in the legislation. That relevant legislation also binds the Commonwealth to delete the data once the pandemic is over. So what does that mean overall? Well, the data that's disclosed in the process of using this app, COVID Safe, is minimal. I mean, it really is. The data on your phone by itself, as far as I can see, is pretty much useless. The data on the server is very minimal. It really doesn't reveal much. And it seems that you need to bring those two things into connection with each other really to find anything meaningful. And even then it's not very much. And secondly, the way that the app operates, I don't believe is invasive. It's not a breach of privacy. It's not sending your personal details out. It's not identifying anybody. And secondly, thirdly, the chance of misappropriating the data is slim to none. On the negative side, and this is just in my head, I wonder how it really solves things, because I understood that the coronavirus was transferred through contact with surfaces and all those sorts of things. So whether it's the silver bullet, I can't see that that's the case. It's being sold as the silver bullet. I can't see that that's the case, because it only deals with one method of transmission of the virus. And secondly, amongst these more negative things is there is a question in a lot of people's minds about whether or not the government should really be going here. Should they be entering into this sphere whereby they are creating apps and things like that that have a tracking capability? Now, tracking is a very bad word. It's a contact tracing capability. But any kind of capability that revolves around collection of that personal data, use of that personal data to pinpoint your proximity to people or your whereabouts and that sort of stuff, is that the kind of precedent we want to set to get governments operating in that sphere? As minimally invasive as this app is, there is a precedent question about actually going there at all. And people have concerns about that. I completely understand that. Should you install it? It's morally neutral, in my opinion. It's up to you. The government policy is that this is optional. And so therefore, I think as a matter of personal duty, it's optional. Many people find it a minimally invasive way of being potentially helpful, and therefore they download it. One of the strongest points I heard was somebody who said, if I got coronavirus, I would want the people who've been in contact with me to know that they should go and get tested. Fair point. So on that basis, a lot of people will download it. But there are others who will be concerned about the precedent that it sets, as I described just before. Is that a remit that governments should even be going into? I think that's a reasonable observation as well, and that's also born out of broader concern. It's not an either-or. It's not the fact that one is moral and the other's not. It's the fact that the two have different moral concerns, or competing moral concerns is the best way to put it, and they'll choose not to download it. I'm personally conflicted. I'm drawn to the idea of the good it can do. I'm also cautious of the idea of the precedent that it sets. However, I think, and I haven't yet made this decision, but I'll say it, whatever, I wasn't going to. I think I'm leaning towards downloading it, I think. And that's a difference of position from 2 weeks ago, when all I heard was that there's a tracing app coming out, which sounds quite ominous, and you sort of say, well, no, that's a terrible idea. But here's the thing. I'm so glad of this. I'm so glad that we live in a country where the easy option, which could have been to simply put GPS tracking on everyone's phone or something really invasive like that, was not countenanced. We live in a country where there was robust debate around the app when it was being thought of, where politicians within the government itself actually raised concerns and said this has to be done well. It has to be done in a non-authoritarian, a non-invasive, a non-privacy breaching way. And all of those concerns were heard and adopted. And now we have a solution that collects absolutely minimal data. It doesn't really collect anything the government shouldn't have to any great degree. And it has a number of processes built into it to make it less invasive and to allay privacy concerns. And it's optional. I think that's a fantastic outcome, and I'm glad I live in a country that makes those things priorities and produces a solution that seems to be walking a really fine line and doing it reasonably well. So should you install it, it is honestly up to you, but I thought I'd give that detail because I think once you know the detail, it is clear that it is not in itself a really bad thing, though questions remain about what kind of precedent does it set for the government to go into this particular realm. Hey, thank you so much for watching. If you liked what you saw, then make sure to hit the like button. If you want to never miss another video again, make sure to subscribe, or you can right now watch more videos right here. Cheers.